Okay, so before we get stuck into doing some more processing on this image and learning about adjustment layers, I first want to quickly go through the cleaning with the healing brush, the spot healing, and the clone tool. Now, sometimes you need these things and other times you don't. But in this particular image, we've got plenty of, I suppose, seaweed and so on the beach, and we're going to clean that away using these tools. So again, we're going to be on the copied layer, so we're not going to be making any adjustments to the background layer. We want to keep that one nice and clean so we can switch it on and switch it off, okay, and have a look and see the changes and make sure we're happy with them. Okay, so it's very simple. We're going to do this, you want to be in nice and close, so we're going to start down here right beside the water, get right down to the bottom of the image. Now in order to use we can very quickly just click on the spot healing brush, make sure our brush is a little bit small. I'm going to bring it up again to 100%, so we're right in at 100%, and let's see how our spot healing is doing. Now you don't want to have the brush too big, you want to keep it quite fine, and what you'll see is sometimes when you've got something with heavy texture, it doesn't work quite as good. Let's move that out there and have a look and see how it's going. So if we move this away, you can kind of see where that is taking effect. You can see it's leaving a little bit mark, but it's really not that prominent. When I do something a little bit bigger, okay, you can see that stands out a little bit more. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the cloning stamp. Okay, so we go in here, click on the clone stamp, or if you want to click on S, that's the shortcut, it will bring you straight there. So we're going to click on the clone stamp, and to use the clone stamp it's very easy. What you want to do is you want to take good pixels and replace them with the bad pixels, and by bad pixels I mean removing something that we don't want there. There's no point picking or choosing pixels all the way out here to replace these pixels. You want something that's going to look the same, and the sound is pretty good down here, but if this is a darker shade, this is a lighter shade, again you don't want to be patching with or cloning with an area that's a different shade, because you're going to see it, so you want to keep it really close. So if I hold down the Alt or the Option key, I get this little crosshair, and this, if I click over here, that now determines where I'm cloning from. So when I go back to the area that I want to clone over, if I click down here, hold on down my mouse left, you can see now where the crosshair is. That's where I'm cloning from, and I'm cloning inside that circle. Okay, so you can see I'm removing all of this. Now here's the thing, you want to make sure you give yourself enough space between where you're cloning from and where you're cloning to. Here's a classic example. We've got quite a big object here, we need to clone it out. We need to give ourselves room. So if I was to hit down the Alt or Option key and I make my selection of where I want to clone from, generally the length of this piece of grass, you need to have at least as much of that to clone in a single line, or you get repetitive cloning. So there's no point me starting out here, okay, because as soon as I start cloning down, now you can see what starts happening around about here. Okay, so you can see what's happening now is, because I've been continuously cloning without releasing the mouse, the actual pixels I'm cloning out are technically still there until I let go of the mouse. So what I'm doing now is I'm going back over and re-cloning that grass back in. okay, and it's not what you want to do. In order to get rid of that, I would have to let go of the mouse, re-click, and now we're starting a fresh clone again. But what happens sometimes is you start getting repetitiveness in the image, and you don't want that. So you see this is repeating, this is repeating, this is repeating from here to here. So you don't want that repetitiveness. So what you want to do, if we just click back to where we started, you want to be able to make a selection that you're not going to repeat over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly clone out this, and a lot of times what you have to do is make a clean cloning space. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly clean the area around here, okay? So we have a good area to clone from, okay? So you can see now this whole area is very clean. It's a good area to clone from, okay? So if I now make my selection just above here, I make my brush a little bit bigger, and I start cloning, and you can see now I'm not going to go over the grass. Okay, and I'm going to let go at this stage, but I'm going to go over here and reselect and clone over this last section. And again down the bottom we've got a little bit, and over here. So you can be as particular as you want, or you can be a little bit more rough and ready. Okay, it's a personal thing. I like to keep the cloning brush as small as I can in order to get the job done, but so the cloning remains more believable. Okay, and as we go through this whole area, removing all of these things, and again you can remove as much or as little as you want. I just happen to like nice clean beaches, and if the beach isn't clean, I can make it clean. What we're about is creating beautiful photos. If you want to be a documentarian, that's fine. You can document the beach how it is, but if you want to create beautiful images that are nice, clean, crisp, that you want to sell to customers and they look fantastic, nobody wants to see dirt on the beach and seaweed everywhere when they want to hang a print on their wall. So sometimes you have to go in and clean it out, and there's nothing wrong with that. So as you can see now, we've made this beach really super clean. Okay, just this section. So if we zoom out and we just have a look at that little section, and we turn the eye on and off, you can see there how much it is. And things like you've got a line through here, I wouldn't clean that out. That's made by the water, and it makes it look very authentic when you leave that kind of thing in. There's nothing wrong with taking out all these little bits if you want to take the time, and it does take time. You can see how long it's taken us to remove that small little bit. Have a look how much is on the beach. Okay, there's a lot of stuff on this beach, and how much you want to take out is really up to you. Another tool, as I said, you can use, you have when you're cleaning everything up, and it's similar but different. So it's called the patch tool, and if we go back up in here into our spot healing brush, right down here is the patch tool. So you can use the patch tool for larger areas, but you need to be very particular about where you're cloning from and to. So if we now draw a line around this area and we pick that up and we move it over, you can see what you're cloning. If you let it go and then click, you can see, you can sometimes see the outline, but you'll get away with that. Most people would not see that. And if we zoom out, you can't see. So you can do larger areas. You can do small areas as well. You have to be very particular. It is cloning from there to there, and then it blends the outside edge around. So it's not always the best. It can leave telltale signs. I use it sparingly, and it works better maybe if you've got something in the sky. Maybe you have an aeroplane in the sky you want to remove, or there's a telegraph pole. You can use that very simply to remove large objects where it's going to blend really easily. So that's very simply the clone tool, the spot healing tool, and with the healing brush it works a little bit different. So let me grab that again. So the healing brush works like this. It's a mix between the stamp tool, the clone stamp, the spot healing, and the patch tool really. And it works in the same way that when we want to make a selection with the spot healing tool, we just click on the area and Photoshop then makes a guess as to what you want in there. It samples from the surrounding area and it blends that area. So if we wanted to click on here, it would basically take a sample from around outside the spot and blend it in, and it's assuming that's what you want to do. It's matching it with the area. So with the healing brush, what we're doing is we're making a selection of where we want to clone from. Okay, so we want to, just like this clone stamp tool outside, and we're going to go over this area. Okay, here's the difference. As you move, when you let go, the crosshair moves with you. It always stays the same distance away with the clone stamp. With the healing brush, if I go all the way over here and I want to clone this out, look, the crosshair goes back to the original spot. So it's not always perfect, because maybe if I go all the way down here, it's a different shade, but it does not, it not only clones, it actually works and blends as well at the same time. This is really good if you're doing if you're working on people, on their faces. It's very good for removing, you know, blemishes and wrinkles and so on in the skin. You can, you know, change the opacity of the adjustment as well. So it's a really nice way to do things, but I don't use it a lot when I'm editing my landscape images. I prefer to use the spot healing tool and also the clone stamp, and occasionally the patch. Okay, so again, it's a tool that's simple to use really, but I do have people a lot of times have trouble and they get a lot of repetitive work and they can't seem to figure out how to get it looking realistic. But it's taking your time. If you get a bit of repetitiveness, you just resample from somewhere else in the image and go over it again, because that's the last thing you want to do, is to have all these telltale signs of, you know, having this kind of, see here you've got repetitive here and here. You want to go back in, and anything that looks repetitive, just remove it. So again, it takes time, but it's a really good result, and it's very, very hard to spot if someone's been cloning in an image if they've done a good job. It's very hard to pick it up. Okay, that's cloning and spot healing to make your image clutter free.